February 9, 1963 to be exact, and airplane number 1 is ready for its first flight at Boeing's Renton Airport in Washington State.
In 1963, the jet age boom was roaring, but airlines faced a puzzle no slide rule could crack. Two-engine jets were cheap, yet international rules said they couldn't stray more than 60 minutes from a diversion airport. Four-engine titans like the 707 could cross oceans, but they guzzled kerosene like muscle cars doing burnouts. Finance chiefs wanted thrift, regulators wanted redundancy, and passengers just wanted to get to Hawaii before sunset. Somebody had to find a sweet spot in the middle, or rip up the playbook entirely. You're looking at the dawn of the Trijet, a brief, brilliant moment when three engines seemed like aviation's forever fix. For 15 years, they ruled the world's busiest runways, then, almost overnight, vanished to the desert boneyards. Why did they rise? Why did they fall? And how did their short reign rewrite every safety rule that governs the jets we board today? Stick around, because I'm about to reveal 10 hidden truths about the Trijet era. And the last one flips the accepted timeline on its head. Imagine sliding into a brand new Boeing 727 seat in 1965. The cabin smells of fresh vinyl, the overhead bins are real wood veneer, and you can still stroll up front for a Polaroid with the captain. What you don't see is the razor-thin math that put that airplane at your gate. With 3 Pratt & Whitney JT-8D engines, the 727 could claw out of short, sizzling runways in Denver, yet burn 20% less fuel than a 4-engine 707 on the same hop to Chicago. 2 engines were banned from U.S. coast-to-coast night routes, 4 were overkill for a 1,000-mile leg, 3 felt, well, just right. Airlines pounced. Within 3 years, the 727 logged 1,000-plus orders, a sales pace rivaling today's A320neo. Douglas answered with the wide-body DC-10, Lockheed with the high-tech L1011. Bigger cabins, longer legs, same 3-engine promise. Passengers believed the extra motor meant extra safety. Accountants heard lower trip cost. Regulators enjoyed an easy sign-off. For a hot minute, everyone, pilots, shareholders, even flight attendants, was thrilled. But that Goldilocks balance hit a ticking clock. The business case only worked while fuel stayed cheap and diversion rules stayed tight. None of the CEOs celebrating champagne-soaked order books in 1972 realized both assumptions were about to flip. Glance at any Trijet tail, and you'll see its party piece. An engine jammed into the vertical fin, gulping air through an elegant S-shaped duct. Photogenic? Absolutely. Practical? Depends on who you ask. The tunnel saved drag and kept cargo holds unobstructed, but maintenance crews nicknamed it the crawl space from hell. Reaching the inlet guide, vanes meant wriggling through a manhole-sized hatch 40 feet above the ramp. Cooling airflow was scarce, tool clearance scarcer. On the L1011, technicians joked you needed arms like a ferret and patience like a monk. The center engine added more than bruised knuckles. Its high weight forced engineers to beef up the tail cone and rudder. More aluminum, more cost. On early DC-10s, that top-heavy layout also complicated hydraulic line routing, a headache that would return with tragic force later in our story. Operationally, the Glamour motor proved fickle. Dispatch reliability dropped 2 full percentage points whenever the upper engine hit its maintenance interval, undercutting the profits the third motor was meant to protect. Airlines swallowed the pain because fuel was 12 cents a gallon and ticket demand was insatiable. But as you'll see in part 2, the economic weather was about to turn toxic, and the Trijet's advantages would melt faster than a popsicle on a Phoenix ramp. It's October 1973. You've just pushed a gleaming DC-10 back from the gate when the news crackles across the cockpit radio. OPEC has turned off the tap. Overnight, fuel jumps from 12 cents to 40. By spring, it's flirting with $1. The Trijet's third engine, which looked like a safety bonus 6 months ago, now reads like a permanent surcharge stapled to every ticket. Airlines scramble. Some roll out fuel watch programs where flight engineers log every ounce burned. Others yank the center galleys to lighten loads. Still, the math won't budge. An extra turbojet sucks roughly 500 gallons on a coast-to-coast hop. Multiply that by an oil price that just quadrupled, and your profit margin evaporates before the tires cool. 5 years later, the pattern repeats. The 1979 Iranian crisis spikes crude again, hammering already fragile balance sheets. CEOs start whispering the unthinkable. Could 2 engines be enough? Just as fuel costs reach a rolling boil, disaster boils over. May 25, 1979, Chicago O'Hare, sunshine and dead calm winds. American Airlines Flight 191 roars down runway 32R. Seconds after liftoff, the left wing slats retract, the jet rolls, and 271 souls perish in a fireball visible from the freeway. Cause: a maintenance shortcut that cracked a pylon bolt and tore the entire left engine clean off. The media blitz is ruthless. Nightly news anchors replay the amateur film on a loop. Ticket counters buckle under a stampede of cancellations. The FAA grounds every US DC-10 for 37 days. A commercial death sentence in peak summer. Investigators eventually clear the basic 3-engine concept, but the damage is done. Passengers now equate Trijet with trouble. Marketing teams repaint brochures, hiding tail-mounted engines behind clever camera angles. Flight attendants field jittery questions. Is this one of those planes from the news? Meanwhile, Boeing quietly fast-tracks its twin-engine 767, bragging that its beefy turbofans can limp on one motor for hours. Regulators are listening. While tabloids feast on crash headlines, a quieter policy storm sneaks up on the fleet. Airport noise regulations. Suburban residents, fed up with late-night thunder, lobby Washington for stricter decibel caps. The result is Stage 3 compliance. Think of it as a nationwide bedtime for loud airplanes. Trijets suffer twice. Their twin rear engines sit high and close to reflective surfaces, turning every takeoff into a stadium amp at full gain. Hush kits exist, but they add hundreds of pounds and rob thrust right when fuel prices punish every extra ounce. Engine makers counter with high bypass turbofans that move more air at lower RPM, quieter and 20% more efficient. Problem? Those fat-bellied fans won't fit inside an elegant S-duct, and hanging a giant pod on the tail would snap the airframe. The very architecture that once looked futuristic now blocks any upgrade path. By 1985, airlines face a brutal choice: spend millions to hush aging trijets that already guzzle fuel and scare passengers, or swap them for twins that stroll through Stage 3 paperwork. One fleet planning memo leaked to Aviation Week sums it up. 3 strikes, fuel, safety PR, and noise are killing the triple. Yet the Trijet era isn't over. In the next part, we'll watch an obscure acronym, ETOPS, kick open routes nobody thought a twin could fly, and learn how computers turn 2 engines into a trans-ocean passport, sealing the Trijet's fate for good. Scene: FAA headquarters, Washington, summer 1984. Regulators and Boeing engineers huddle over reliability charts as thick as phone books. In the middle of the table sits a radical proposal. Allow a 2-engine 767 to wander 120 minutes from the nearest airport. The acronym is newborn ETOPS, Extended Range Twin Engine Operational Performance Standards, and skeptics are loud. One inspector snorts that it's like driving coast to coast with one spare tire, but the data refuse to budge. Modern high-bypass turbofans are posting in-flight shutdown rates of 1 per million hours, an order of magnitude better than the JT-8Ds powering most TRI jets. After weeks of wrangling, the Chief of Flight Standards signs off, approved conditionally. Overnight, gigantic red no-go zones over the North Atlantic turn green. TWA schedules twin-engine St. Louis-Frankfurt runs, pruning thousands in fuel and shaving ticket prices. The press coins Twin Atlantic. Passengers barely notice, except for fares that drop $20. More than a rule change, ETOPS is a psychological pivot. When travelers accept that 2 engines can cross oceans safely, the 3rd engine starts looking like an appendix nobody needs. A maintenance controller at Delta scribbles 3 bullets on his whiteboard. Skipping 1 engine means saving millions in purchase cost, cutting overhaul expenses, reducing spare parts and crew needs, and simplifying training with fewer checklists and simulators. He circles the total, 30% cheaper per seat. Cargo math sweetens the deal. Without a tail engine hogging structure, twins stretch into longer, wider tubes, more freight rides below, paying first-class rates. United crunches the numbers. A 777 hauls 50% more payload than an L111 for the same gallon of kerosene. They ship their trijets to the Mojave Boneyard and never look back. Pilots love it. Glass cockpits have workload, and a page labeled ENG out perf spits drift-down altitudes in seconds. Retired flight engineers joke their new job is watching golf. A cockpit quip spreads. Hardest part of flying a twin across the Pacific? Staying awake. Shrinking twin fleets accelerate engine research. Boeing and GE's GE90, built for the 777, sports composite fan blades and digital controls, cutting shutdown rates to 0.002 per thousand hours. ETOPS rises to 240, then 330 minutes, enough to fly straight over Antarctica. By 1995, computer-aided design chops development cycles in half. The cost gap between launching a trijet and perfecting a big twin becomes a canyon. Investors flee anything with 3 engines. Yet, the triple refuses to die. Freight dogs discover a DC-10, gutted and packed with boxes, can outhaul a 767 in tropical air. FedEx mails the purchase orders, and aging tri-holers earn a second life, schlepping iPhones through the night sky. Flash forward to a moonlit ramp in Memphis, 1997. Purple-tailed DC teens lumber toward yawning roller doors, stuffed with laptops and catalog orders scribbled over landlines. Cargo doesn't care about seat pitch or schedules. What matters is lift and door height, and a trijet delivers both in spades. A DC-1030F can launch 170,000 pounds from a sweaty high-altitude runway in Quito, where a twin gasps. The center engine jams thrust into the tail without needing a longer wing. FedEx loves it. So do UPS, Lufthansa Cargo, and the US Air Force. By 2005, more trijets haul freight than passengers, tacking on 2 extra decades. But each midnight launch proves a point. Trijets are reliable, dispatch rates top 98%, accident charts flatten, and each smooth flight gives regulators another reason to relax. ETOPS for twins. Irony number 1, the trijet keeps making its own replacement more attractive. Here's the punchline. Trijets didn't disappear because they failed. They disappeared because they worked too well. That third engine masked mechanical hiccups long enough for engineers to perfect turbofan miracles. A modern twin flying on 1 engine now matches, or beats, the safety margins of an old trijet on 2. Once that math flipped, the third engine became a liability. More drag, more fuel burn, more inspections. Residual values plummeted. Airlines offloaded trijets fast. Storage yards filled with T-tails poking through the sagebrush like a junkyard Stonehenge. Irony number 2. By proving 2 was enough, 3 became too many. And yet, stand outside Davis-Monthan at sunset and you'll feel the ache. Rows of L1011s glow copper, their once quiet Rolls-Royces silent. A freight dog mechanic flicks ash from his cigarette and swears the S-duct sounded like an organ pipe at takeoff. He misses that song. Truth is, so do a lot of people. Hit the subscribe button and like this video. We'll see you in the next one.